What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on my channel. In this video, we'll be creating a recycling center slash job from top to bottom. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button because only 50% of you guys are actually subscribed to the channel. Make sure you guys use code Twisle on Iceland Hosting to get 50% off your first month. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, peace out. All right, so let's get into coding. And remember, I am using my template file. The template file can be found in the description, but that's why we have these functions here. So the first thing we need to do is actually setting up the function to actually create or actually like walk into the warehouse. So remember, I do have the config file here is already filled out. All you need to do if you're following along is just grab the config file from the GitHub. I don't want to do the config file because it's just going to stretch out the video to be longer. So here it is. If you need it, it will be in the description in the tutorial repo. So first thing let's do create function, local function, and we're going to call this enter warehouse. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to get the interior ID. So we're going to do local interior ID, and this is going to be equal get interior at coords. Our coordinates are going to be, I'm just going to copy them over here. This is just the location of where the IPL actually is. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to load interior. Did I spell right? Interior. And we're going to load this here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to refresh the interior. Which thing I don't think we actually need to do because we didn't make any changes, but we'll just do it anyways. Next thing we need to do is we're actually going to need to trigger an event, but we'll wait for that. Bucket events. Next thing we need to do is then here we'll call a fade event. So you remember, these are all functions we're going to be creating later on. And first thing we need to do is we need to set up our leave target, which should really be called differently. So this will be called local leave target, which I'm wrong actually. This will actually create the target zone, the box zone, so we can actually leave the thing. So you're just going to do leave target equals, and then I got a IntelliSense snippet. I recommend installing those so you guys can code faster and more efficiently. The chords, I actually forgot to set another thing up here. So we're going to do local war data, which just stands for warehouse data, equals config dot warehouse data, just so we don't have to type config dot warehouse data every time we want something from the config. So this is going to be config dot war data dot leave chords dot xyz. The next one is name is we're going to call this leave rec warehouse. Rotation is just going to be these chords.w because that's the heading. The options is icon is going to be fa-solid, fa-door-open. Icon's going to be leave warehouse. And this one is we're going to, in onset, we're going to call leave warehouse. Function we haven't yet created. So next thing we're going to do here is let's set up leave warehouse. Local function leave warehouse. So we're going to open this one up in my notes. So we're going to have to, first off, let's actually do this a little bit more simple. I have a lot more code in here than I thought, actually. First off, I have up here another thing, local target equals exports dot aux underscore target. So we don't have to type that every single time. So we can just do this instead. So let's delete this zone when we leave the warehouse. So we're going to do target colon remove ace. What the heck? Remove targets. And that's just we're just going to remove this target here. Let me make sure I spelled that right. Oh, it's not remove target. Sorry, guys. It's remove zone. Next thing we're going to do is reset bucket. Actually, let's just do that now. Let's trigger server events. We'll keep that there for now. So let's go to our server.lua. Next here, and I'm going to scroll to it in my notes. So we're just going to be doing a simple thing here where we're actually going to be setting a separate key for the interior ID or the bucket ID. For example, this one we're going to be doing a little bit differently. I think, okay, here we go. So we're going to do local warehouse key. We're going to do os.time. And we're going to multiply this by math.random from 1000 to 9999. This is a way I actually started doing. Don't mind that. That's weird that it's even throwing that. Oh, I spelled it wrong. I started doing a lot of bucket keys like this just to make sure they never interfere with another script. So another script that also sets uses routing buckets that isn't my script. So I'm gonna put a net event template here, and we're going to call this tw-rec center, and we're gonna do server, and the event is going to be set player buckets, and this state is going to be if they're leaving or entering. So if state, then set player routing bucket. Source is just gonna be source, and state is going to be just that. I like to do 2 number here, just in case, because this is actually generating a string. So I like to make sure it's a number. Spelled it wrong. 2 number. You'll still get a warning, but it's fine. And then else is we're gonna do the same thing, but we're gonna set it to false instead, or set this to 0, because 0 is the default bucket. So the next thing we need to do is go back to our client, and we're going to trigger this event and going to set this to false because we're leaving the warehouse. And then here we're going to set this to true because we're entering the warehouse. There we go. So next thing, let's actually set up the fading event because that's going to be used twice. So we're going to do local function do fade, and 2 chords is where we are going to actually know what chords to send to. So we're going to do screen fade out, do 1000, and we're going to citizens dot wait. Either citizen or just a regular wait should work. Oh, spelled it wrong. Citizens dot wait. We're also going to wait 1000, and then we're going to freeze entity position, which is just cache dot. We're going to use oxlibs cache dot ped true. Then we're going to set entity visible cache dot ped, and we're going to set that to false. And then we're going to set entity alpha, and it's going to be cache dot ped, and it's going to be 0 and false. I don't know if you need to set the alpha if you're setting the entity visible, but I just do this just in case. Next thing we're going to do is set entity heading. It's going to be cache dot ped, and the heading is going to be 2 chords dot x dot y dot z minus 1, and we're going to true false. I forgot commas on each of those. And actually, I don't think that, well, I missed something. I think I missed a false, or I put too many falses. I don't know. What am I missing here? Yeah, I don't know why that's throwing an error here. Set entity heading. Oh, I did the wrong one. Oops. Set entity chords is what this one should have been. And yeah, there we go. This just needed to .w. There we go. Sorry about that. And then we're going to citizen dot wait. So you'll spend half a second in the fade, and then we're going to set all this stuff to reverse of what it is. So false. Oh my gosh, I cannot type. false. And then this one is going to be set entity visible true. And set them true. And then this one will be set to, my notes is a little bit different. So I'm just going to copy this over because this is confusing me for no reason. But there we go. That's just, you use the reverse of what these are here. And then we're going to do the same thing here. But instead of do screen fade in, we're going to instead of fade out, we're going to do screen fade in. There we go. So that's our fade actually. So now whenever we want to fade, we just call this here. So here we're entering the warehouse. So we actually need to do var data dot leave chords. Because leave chords is actually what's inside, and then enter chords is actually the coordinates of how you get into the warehouse. So it's a little bit backwards and be kind of confusing, but that's how that works. And then also in enter warehouse, we already do the fade, and we need to do the fade here. Do war data dot enter chords. And if we go in the server and then we restart, you see that none of the zones actually get created because we never created the zone that actually lets you enter the warehouse. So we never called this function. So we're going to make a start thread here. This will handle all of our logic for actually start when the script starts. So we're just going to make another up here called local enter target equals nil. So we could do enter target, and then we could do the same thing. BZ chords is going to be war data dot enter chords dot XYZ because we don't need the fourth value. We could put the rotation, remember, as the heading name. We do the scope here, and we'll just do the same thing here. But we're going to do not that. We're going to do leave rec warehouse. We're going to do next, we're going to do enter. And there we go. So that will be the enter. And then we got to make sure to call enter warehouse function here. Icon, the same one again, just the door. That time I didn't copy it, and we're going to do enter warehouse. There we go. And if I go in now and then reinsure it, there you go. You see our little thing here, and you can enter it. And you see enter the warehouse. You see you got our zone right here, so you can leave it, and it fades you out. There we go. So if you gotta want the sizes to be a little more accurate, 515 seems to be the best size. And I think I spelled something wrong on the icon because that icon didn't show up. So we're just going to put this one because I know this one showed up. Okay, so that's how you enter and leave the warehouse. Good. Let me restart here, and you can see the zone is a bit bigger. So I can go inside. Does a little fade, and there you go. You got our zone there too. So next thing we need to do is set up the ped so the ped will spawn. So I'm hitching kind of bad right now. I don't know why, so this video might be a little bit laggy, but I don't know why it's doing that. Let me close out some of this extra stuff I don't need open. Here we go. Okay. So next thing we'll do, let's set up the ped. So up here at the top, we're going to do local function, and actually we're going to set up a utility function for us because we use it a lot. I know a lot of you are going to say, just use the aux one, just use the aux one. I don't like using the aux one in tutorial because I like people to know how it works instead of just using a utility function that's made by someone else. So we'll make our own utility functions. So we're going to call it request our model, and we're going to call this model. So this can be a string or a number, doesn't matter. The natives will know. So we're going to do request model. So this is just going to be model, and we're going to do while not has model loaded. We're going to do model do request, or we'll put our weight here. Citizens dot weight. Again, it doesn't matter if you use citizens dot weight or just the regular weight. We're going to request the model again. And there we go. Now that is how our model loads. You can add a print statement there if you want that to. You don't need to though. So now let's do local function spawn manager ped, and we're going to do request our model, and we're actually up here. We're going to do local function, or oops, we're going to do local ped data equals war data dot manager data. Is that what that is? Warehouse data dot manager data. Oh, I forgot we're already in that. We're already in there. So we can do ped data dot model. And let me open up my notes again so we can see how I create this model if I can find it. Well, that's not good. I can't find it. I think I forgot to copy it over, so we'll just have to do it by hand. So we're going to first do ped. I have a snippet that, or create ped. I got a snippet that will do it for me. So pretty much it's just freezing it and making it invisible and blocking the events so it doesn't get mad or angry. So we can do local manager ped equals nil because it's nil to start. And here we can just set all these to manager ped. Model hash is just going to be ped data.model. Chords. Oops. What did I just do there? .model. Now the rest of these are just going to be ped data dot whatever they are here. So we got chords, manager data, chords. There we go. So we just do dot chords. There you go. So it's the same. So I just copy these down or copy them over to the next one. And there we go. So it will set the chords for me. I don't like how it does that, but there we go. So now we have our manager data, which is good. So you can play an animation if you want to. The final form of the script will have the clipboard animation, but I don't know where my actual function to spawn this went. So yeah. Next thing you do is EZ. For Entity Zone, you guys need to make sure you have the extensions, the oxlib, the overextended extension, and you'll be able to do the same snippet shortcuts that I use. So we're going to do manager here. Icon is going to be, we're going to go here and we're going to search chat. We're going to do this one. We're going to do talk to manager. And then this is going to use a export that I actually needed, which I think it's just exports dot dialog colon open dialog, and it's going to be ped data dot interaction, and that should be fine. Or we actually need to put the manager ped and then that. So that should spawn him. We need to then call this function in our start thread. So the manager ped spawns. Let's leave the warehouse so it doesn't bug out. That's weird it's hitching like that. My computer hasn't had problems like this in a while, actually. So if I restart here and then go into here, you can see there's our ped. And I should be able to talk to him. Or not. We got a little bit in error, maybe. That's weird. Can't talk to him. Probably because my dialog script isn't set up correctly, or my export that I have there is not correct. So 1 second, I will fix that. Oh, never mind. I don't even need to fix it because I just never assigned the actual entity that we needed to set up. All right, so let's reinsert the script and test to see what we're doing. I think I fixed the issue of why I was hitching, so let's hope that is good. So I just lied a little bit when I came in, but it's okay. Let's test this out here and see. You can see, talk to the manager. There we go. So I think I found out the issue of why something is running. I don't know, actually. So the CPU res mount was just pretty high, but you guys can see the manager. You can actually talk to him now. There we go. There we go. So now if you go up to him and talk to him, you can actually see the dialogue works. There we go. All good and dandy. I did go in and I did change one thing. This is a uppercase O and not a lowercase O. And I just added in all of my other functions that I made to the dialogue menu. Okay, next thing let's do, let's actually build the warehouse. So we are next going to do, we're going to put it up here. We're going to call this local function build warehouse. So this is where we're going to actually spawn all of the stuff to actually build a warehouse. And I was wrong. Spawn manager shouldn't be here. It should actually be in build warehouse. So in this function, we are going to, like I said, spawn all the objects per to actually populate under the things, because by GTA default they don't spawn under the racks like they should. So we're gonna actually do it this ourselves. And again, appreciate to Qbox because I did get all the chords and models from their recycling center script, so I appreciate that. So we're gonna do for I. We're gonna do pickup in pairs config dot where I don't have to do that because I have war data dot pickups do. We're going to do local model, and we're going to get a random model to use. Config dot pickup models. We're going to do brackets to get the index, and it's going to be math dot random math dot random. The lowest indexes can be 1, and the highest is going to be config dot pickup models. So that will get our model that we need to use for this object. And we're going to do request our model, and we're going to load the model. Next thing we're going to do is revert that. We're going to do local object equals create object, and it's going to be model, and it's going to be pickup dot, we're going to copy that for now, dot x dot y dot z, and it's going to be false. There we go. So that will create the objects for us. I don't know why I'm getting an error here. Oh, we need another false. There we go. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to place objects on ground properly. It's going to just be object. Next thing we're going to do after that is we're going to freeze entity position, object true. Next thing is going to be set entity invincible. And it's going to be object, and it's going to be set to true. And then I can delete this. And next thing, we're going to create a table up here called local pickups, and it's going to be squiggly brackets. And we are going to do table dot insert object into that table. There we go. So that will actually populate the bottom of the warehouse. So here, when we enter warehouse, we're actually going to call this function here. So the warehouse gets built. So actually, instead of build, actually, it's probably better to leave it in there because build warehouse is like setup warehouse. So next thing we need to do is create that pickup location where you will actually drop off items. So local drop off is going to equal to, we'll just copy this all again because we're pretty much doing the same thing, just a tiny bit differently. So here, copy. Nope, not copy. Actually, we could put that into there so we can just loop through the entire table. So it's not going to be pickup anymore. It's going to be, we're actually going to need to grab a random model first off. So we can do this a little bit differently. So model is just going to be config.pickup model. And we're just going to do the fourth one because that's the one that looks the best. And it's going to be let's variabilize this so it's a little bit smaller. Local drop off lock equals war data dot turn and chords. We can drop off dot x, drop off dot y, drop off dot z, and then that is all that. That is all good and dandy for that drop off location. So next thing we need to do is EZ for entity zone, and we're going to actually create this as an entity zone. There we go, and we need to go back to wherever we have this. We're going to call this one DZ. Icon is going to be a box, so let's find box. There, and we're going to call this drop off pickup. And then the function here is going to be logic for new pickup. Pick up. Okay, there we go. So we know that's going to work. So next thing we need to do is leave warehouse. What we're going to do now is that fade happens, and we're going to do for I equals 1 in pickups do, and we're going to delete object or delete entity, because you can do both. I've noticed that whenever I try to do delete object, it doesn't work, but delete entity sometimes, or sometimes delete object works, sometimes it doesn't. So it might be different based on like what type of entity is, or what type of object or entity, like the parameters of it. But delete entity always works for me. So we'll delete each entity, and we're going to set pickup to an empty table again, just in case. And there we go. So that should remove all of that. It should remove the target. And actually, I forgot here. Let's also, after we do that, let's delete entity, and we'll do manager ped. So the manager ped deletes. So let's run out of here. Sorry for that hitching, guys. It's probably pretty annoying, but I don't know what's going on. So, and if I restart and go back in, you can see all the objects are there, and you can see that one over here. You can see that it's here. There we go. If I lag over there, and you can interact with it. All right, so that's going to be everything for the part 1 of this video. The next part, we're going to actually be building the job part where you actually do the work. So I hope you guys liked the video. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. It means a lot. It helps me a bunch as a channel. And yeah, have a great rest of the day, night, morning, wherever you are in the world, and peace out.